Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our weekly webinar. I see people are still signing on, but I'm going to continue anyway, as it's just gone 2 o'clock. My name is Emma Ganesh. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Landed. We're a talent hiring software solutions company. I myself have over 20 years experience in the recruitment industry, first as an agent, and then moved on as an in-house recruiter, and now I'm obviously an employer myself within the field. So I've pretty much witnessed firsthand the change in technology and the impact that it's had on reaching and engaging talent over the years. I'm a self-confessed tech geek, which is why I have such an interest in all things to do with social media and the .com, as I started my career in the midst of the whole 90s .com boom for a tech company, and we were selling market data, combining. So I've really, in the last couple of years, been able to combine my two passions, that of technology and that of recruiting, and that has led to the creation of Landed. Today I'm going to focus on and explore in detail the topic of social recruiting. It's a new phrase that's been coined, and I hope that throughout the slides I answer some common questions and myths with regards to advertising jobs on social media channels, and give you my measured insight into what is definitely, I perceive, as a game changer in the battle for talent. If you do have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those directly at the end of the session, and you can enable your mic once we do that. Otherwise, you can email me and I'll give out my contact details later on. Okay, so social media and hiring, social recruitment. One of the very first things I hear if ever I go to a networking event is that doesn't work for me. It's not going to work for us. Our organisation doesn't do anything on social media, or social media is for marketing and not for recruiting. So it's something that I face every time I go to a networking event when I explain what we do. And I get a lot of various different sort of pitfalls put to me, such as we've tried posting jobs but get nothing. Or my personal favourite is social media is just for the younger generation. The main reason social media doesn't work, or social recruiting doesn't work for companies, is quite simply down to the lack of understanding, and to the lack of understanding of the data and knowing where and when to place your vacancies. Recruiters, by and large, don't understand how and when to use social media. In fact, many marketers today still don't understand how to fully utilise this whole new concept that has crept up on us over the last 10 years. It's definitely very much still in its infancy phase. There's still a lot to learn, but I very much take the approach that even though you may not fully understand it, it's not to be avoided, because it is a great channel and things are rapidly moving. If we take a look at how recruitment scene has changed over the last 20 years, we'll see just how quickly things have moved on from where they used to be. I mean, probably it's changed more in the last 10 years than it has in the last 100. If you take a look where we were in 1997, we were generally still advertising jobs in newspapers. Very much local newspapers or national newspapers would have had special days set aside for different types of roles. When I first began my recruitment career, we had monthly budgets for newspaper adverts, and we relied very heavily on applicants either filling out application forms for our clients and posting them in, or sending us their CV or the application form via that lovely fax machine. So things have certainly moved on from the days of using a fax machine. In fact, I think if you were to ask some of the younger members in your team what a fax machine is, they probably wouldn't even really know. But obviously then things began to take on. The use of email began to spread. The evolution of free email accounts led to, such as Hotmail and Yahoo, led to the wider use of the CVs. Newspapers were largely replaced by the job boards, and subsectors, although they still continue to use them, like the public sector, have clung on to newspaper advertising. A lot of companies have shifted generally to a couple of chosen job boards, as they see them as more cost effective, and jobs aren't gone in just a day. But even in the job board market, there's been rapid changes and developments within there, and certainly I would say that Indeed is leading the way in terms of how job board advertising is to go for the future. And that obviously then led to a much overloaded inbox. I'm sure we've all been there, where our inboxes are just overinflated with CVs and application forms coming in from applicants. It's a hard way to track and trace, and it's a hard way to sort of whittle down through putting them into various different folders. As much as you try to keep an inbox folder and an email folder concise, it can be quite overwhelming. And then obviously in 2007 things began to change again, and that was with the introduction of smartphones and with the explosion of what we now call social media. And by 2017, a lot of that growth has seen job seekers using their smartphones when they're searching for online jobs. And they do that on various different channels. They'll be using their smartphones for websites, they'll be using their smartphones for social media, liking, sharing, following, and tagging all of their friends in potential posts. So it really has become at our fingertips recruiting. So as I go back to, it's not something to be ignored, and the pitfalls of social media, there's a few there that we can avoid to make sure that we get it right. With the introduction of these new advertising channels, applications, methods and screening techniques, the recruitment funnel has also changed. Before, the recruitment funnel looked something like this, and we would simply put an advert out on the national newspaper or the local newspaper. We would invite applicants to either request an application pack or send in a CV to an email address or to an address even, and then wait for the deadline to pass. We then review and screen applications, conduct interviews and send out letters via the post to advise applicants of the outcome. And on average, time to hire could be as much as 3 months when you have to take into account notice periods of successful applicants. And as with everything today, people now want instant gratification. They want to instantly know if their job has been, application has been accepted. They want to pretty much instantly know, have you read their CV, when you're going to read their CV, what's the next step in the process. So this old method of putting an advert out there, sending in an application, and then waiting 2 to 3 weeks before you hear back from it is being replaced pretty quickly, and applicants are becoming more and more impatient. So the new recruitment funnel looks similar, but with a few added levels, and this is what we've coined recruitment marketing, and it's very much a new concept for HR. It's to think more like marketers, to be aware of who it is that you're trying to attract, and what consideration they will give before they actually apply for the role. So candidates today are very much like consumers. They demand more information before they commit, and they expect quicker decisions when they decide to apply. This means recruitment teams need to have in place creative and efficient processes. Firstly, they need to be able to have creative processes to attract the applicants into the funnel, and then they need to be able to seamlessly screen and filter to get the best applicants to move them through the funnel as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you risk losing your candidates to your competitors. So the battle for talent has never been so competitive, and companies who embrace new technology and enhance their recruitment process and strategy with these new methods will be the companies who attract and retain the best talent. The new recruitment funnel very much mirrors that of the modern marketing funnel, where marketers focus very much at the top end about people's awareness and consideration, and then when they do make the intent to apply or the intent to buy, they do so willingly with the information. And it's the same for recruitment. Candidates today want as much information as possible, and so recruiters to that extent need to start addressing some of those skills that are normally associated with digital marketing teams. And if you don't have those skills in your own team, perhaps it would be an idea to liaise with your marketing team to see what skills you can garner from them. When thinking of social recruiting, you need to think really of a recruitment marketing value journey. What journey are you offering your candidates? The first area of awareness and getting consideration is to build your employer brand by using engaging social posts before you even put a job out to advert. So that's posts where you're getting them to think about who you are as a company, and you're making yourselves more attractive before you even put a job out to advert. So all of these combined together, things like pictures of talent within your organisation as it is, facilities that you offer, fun days that you have, will help build your employer brand from the very beginning. And tie those in then with social posts about praising your employees or celebrating new contracts that you've won will again just help get people excited about you as a company. Once you have all that in place, you can then advertise a job, and then when you do that, you need to make sure that it's easy for the candidates to apply, and make sure that it's got that mobile optimized application process, which I'll go into in a bit more detail later. Candidates today like simplicity. They like automation, and they like to ensure that they can get through the process nice and quickly. Once you've been able to get candidates through the process, it should be as easy then to interview them, make them a job offer, and then from there the cycle begins again, because you can get a good referral system in place and used through your social media and through your now employee social channels to make them become advocates and tell their people within their network about the great opportunities for the future. So even applicants who aren't successful, if you've given them a good journey up until the point where you've rejected them, they'll still be inclined to refer you to candidates for a future opportunity, or indeed come back to you when another opportunity that suits them better may come along. With social media, the main thing is that once utilised correctly, it can help you, your company, turn strangers into a social audience, and reach out and reach people that you maybe haven't reached before. And those social audiences can then become potential applicants and obviously potential employees. So social media gives you an opportunity to reach people that you've never potentially reached before. We have clients who have done 100% recruitment through social media, rather than using any of the job boards, and they've been very successful in doing that, but they've put in place a large digital marketing budget behind that. So when you think social media, don't just think free advertising. There are ways to utilise social media, but putting your hands in your pocket and putting a budget behind it can generally garner you better results. Just a quick cover on some new stats, or the stats that are almost a year old. Hard to believe it's already January 2018. But this time last year, if you look at some of the daily stats that have been taken off some research recently, you'll see that the total population of the global snapshot is 7.4 billion. Internet users, 3.7 billion. Active social media users, 2.7 billion. Unique mobile users, 4.9 billion, and active social users, 2.5 billion. Almost 1 million people will use the internet for the first time today, and more than 15 people start using social media for the first time every second, meaning that about 75 people will have started using social media by the time it takes me to finish reading this slide. 7 people start using mobile phone every single second, and statistically it's likely that 6 of them do so using a smartphone. More than 1.5 million people start using social media every single day, which equates to more than 1,000 every minute and more than 18 users every second. So what that really tells us is that to ignore social recruiting or the social media channels for your recruitment is to ignore a very wide captive audience there for you. So why doesn't it work? Again, coming back to the comments that I normally get, social recruiting, why it doesn't work for everyone. And it's not that it doesn't work for everyone, it's just that I believe not everyone is using it correctly. And there may be certain rules, obviously, where it doesn't apply. You need to pick your channels. It's like you need to pick your newspapers for where you're advertising your vacancies. But generally, one of the most common mistakes recruiters make is that they use this scattergun approach to social media advertising. They fire off a load of channels and expect an instant response. And I think it's that lack of understanding that leads to the downfall of a lot of companies when they're putting in place a social media recruitment strategy. I see it all too often on my Facebook timeline, Twitter feed, overloaded by one particular company with a great big "we're hiring" image, and there's no thought place given to the time of the advert, the design, no application process following on from the picture. So it's like you see a picture, "we're hiring," great, what do I do? Can I click and apply? There's no click and apply button, and there's simply just an image. So then it's like you start getting messages on your personal message feed, and then people will sort of get disheartened with the whole process. Does your company page have followers? If you're putting social media posts out there, who are you putting it out to? Aside from your family and friends, who is going to be seeing those "we're hiring" posts? So it's having a little bit more of a strategic thought about where you're putting your posts out to, rather than just firing it at the wall and hoping that something will stick. Now, certainly you can get some return from free posts on social media, but you're more likely to have success with social media advertising if you put a bit of money behind it. So whether you're doing a sponsored advert or a boosted post on Facebook, it's going to get you a better return than just by putting it on a timeline and then it very quickly disappears. In fact, with regards to Facebook, after running a trial in 6 countries in the latter half of 2017, Facebook just this month have rolled out a new policy, which means we will see less company page posts in our timelines unless they are paid adverts. Facebook say this is to stop our news feeds being taken over by company posts and to leave our main feeds open for original content from family and friends, which they say is what it's intended for. But it is also about them getting companies to pay for advertising through those boosted posts and paid advertising channels, because funny enough, boosted and paid adverts are not going to disappear from your timeline. In fact, they may become all too more frequent. So really it is a push by them. There's a great article on that if you're interested. Email me after today's session and I'll share you the link. It appeared in The Guardian at the latter half of last year, and it was saying what the trial was doing, and that then, as I said, has just been announced that they're going to roll that out this month as well. However, even though Facebook remains the overall most popular social channel, it is not always the best place to hire. So just because Facebook are putting out this new policy where it says you have to start paying to boost posts to get them seen from your company timeline, there are other ways to advertise and other places to advertise. According to Pew Research Centre, Twitter is used by 21% of online adults, and your business can reach the rich data it provides via Twitter ads, but also via your Twitter posts as well, if you can garner up a good following on Twitter. And the one thing with Twitter is, again, it allows you to put the links, and they've obviously increased their character count, so you can put a bit more information out there about your organisation as well. But it is a channel that should be implemented if you're going to be doing any social recruiting. Understanding your own social media demographics will give you a better idea of who your follower base is before you plan any social media recruitment marketing. And this is an ideal time to work with your marketing team, because they should have some data and they should know who is following you on which channels, and what channels are going to work best within your market set. LinkedIn is obviously a go-to site as well. If you're looking to recruit online, it's the go-to site for business and recruitment. However, not every job advert should be on LinkedIn. I think a lot of people mistakenly think, oh, I'm advertising a job, I better put it on LinkedIn. It really does depend on who you're looking to advertise your vacancy for. If you look at the correct data, it'll tell you that education demographics on LinkedIn haven't really changed that much over the years. 50% of the adult graduates use LinkedIn. 27% of adults will have some college experience use LinkedIn, and 12% of adults with a high school diploma use LinkedIn. So those that of a higher education will be bigger LinkedIn users, is what the stats would tell us. And it's also linked to income size, and those that are on a higher income tend to be those that are using LinkedIn more. 45% of adults making over $75,000 a year use LinkedIn, comparing that to just 13% who are in the bottom bracket of $30,000. So more of the people that are on LinkedIn tend to be from the larger incomes and better education. Therefore, this supports sort of the idea of using LinkedIn to advertise professional roles that have potential to acquire a certain level of education and fit within the higher wage bracket. LinkedIn is not the social site to use to advertise shop assistant roles or customer service roles. Those would be more inclined to Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. The information on LinkedIn can also be broken down by profession. So whilst doctors are a high wage bracket and higher education bracket, they are less likely excuse me, to be on LinkedIn, mainly because they're looking to protect their professional details, and they don't like to be headhunted as much as other professions. Young professionals, people who have graduated in the last 10 years, are now actively seeking opportunities and are very active on LinkedIn. So if you are looking to employ graduates in the last 10 to 15 years, LinkedIn is an ideal site for you to go fishing in. Every social channel has its optimum time for posting. So again, just taking away that scattergun approach and putting in place a more strategic plan to your social postings will garner you greater results. Every social site has that optimum time, and they vary as their user demographics will vary. For example, Twitter, the ideal time for posting to Twitter is ideal days are Monday to Thursday, and any time between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. People are on and off it throughout the working day, even perhaps when they shouldn't be. But generally avoid posting to Twitter after 3 p.m. because it's a less active time on the network, unless of course you're in a networking group that has set times. And there are many networking groups out there, such as here in Northern Ireland we have Belfast Hour, and I know in the likes of London there's London Business Hour, etc. So you can vary and join certain networking groups and get a lot of information and get them to spread the word. But overall, as a rule, they say avoid Twitter sort of after 3 p.m. and certainly never after 8 p.m. at night. People don't tend to be sat on their Twitter account that late at night. Facebook, best day of the week is Wednesday on Facebook. It gets the most activities, and the best time of day is between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And again, sort of that's from the lunchtime hour onwards, where people might go in at onto Facebook at lunchtime, and then the browser may be kept open as they're sitting at work. Worst time is before 8 a.m. or after 8 p.m. So any time sort of during the day, but the optimum time is certainly between that 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock window. And they say with regards to Facebook, avoid it at weekends because that's when people are socializing with real people rather than socializing online. And then finally, LinkedIn, focusing on the top three. LinkedIn days are different again slightly, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday being the most optimum days. Thursday apparently is an exceptionally good day for posting out on LinkedIn, and the hours are either between around noon or between 5 and 6 p.m. So again, it ties in with the fact that people are doing it as a professional profile, so they might be checking it at lunch or they might be checking it just before they leave the office. They say that the worst time to be on LinkedIn is any time between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Very few people would tend to be on LinkedIn. So if you're going to put a feed or a post out then, it's not going to get much traction. People apply for jobs at all different times. Naturally, everybody's different, but overall, we tracked, and this is from our own system of a client pattern, and it's a client who hires vacancies, everything from customer service right up to senior management roles. And what they wanted to do was track when people were actually applying for their vacancies. And as you can see, it's fairly standard. These stats were taken early last year. Monday to Friday is their optimum time for when people are applying for the roles, and that's when they actually do a lot of their social media posting. The weekends, it drops off dramatically, and people are less inclined to apply for a role during the weekend. And interestingly, we also did a bit of a trace, and there's always a spike in job applications around lunchtime on the platform. So people do apply for jobs, not necessarily sitting at home. And if it's quick and easy for them to apply, they'll apply at a time, and perhaps a bad morning at work, and they'll go on and search for jobs, and they'll apply for a job at lunchtime. But the vast majority do apply for jobs during the week. And this is a good time to post, to schedule your social media posts. Weekends, like I say, it drops off to almost 50%. And again, this matches the research that you find for social media, that may be a time when a lot of people are engaged in family and friends activities, and they've less time to go out and apply for roles. So they'll do it during the week or at lunchtime. When considering social recruiting, the main thing to consider first of all is, do you have a presence and a strong following on social media? There is very little point in going out and start advertising, creating a Facebook page today and just start advertising your vacancies. You need to work with your marketing team to build up a social media following so that when you do put posts out there, it's going to be posts that people are going to engage in. They also say with regards to social media, that use real images of people within your organization, especially if you're looking to get people to apply for jobs in your business. Try not to use stock images, but try to use real images of real people in your organization. And obviously you need to get those people permission to do that in the first place. But one thing you should keep in mind, the unseen benefits that are to do with social media recruiting, is that it's going to enhance your brand. It's not just enhancing your employer brand, but also your company, and it's the potential to actually attract new customers to your organization as well. There's no point advertising to empty space. If you don't have a social media presence on Twitter, LinkedIn or Facebook, then you really are just firing out social posts into the nevosphere. It's so important to think of it as a long-term strategy and not just think of it as a quick fix to get new instant applications. Your recruitment and social media strategies should be well-versed digital strategies, and if you aren't able to measure those yourself and you've not got that digital expertise, then you might either want to consider hiring somebody into your recruitment team who can do that, or working closely with your marketing team, or getting a software in place that can help you do that. When using social recruiting, there are quite a few of don'ts. The first one is, and I've mentioned it briefly already, is don't expect instant success. We see this all too often. Clients would come on board, they'd start posting to their social media, and they're also posting to other channels, but they're almost thinking that if you put it to Facebook, you're going to get applications within 15 to 20 minutes. It doesn't work like that. Like anything, you've got to build up over time. Who is your audience? and who is that in line with the vacancies that you're trying to fill, and how can you get more people like the people you're trying to catch into your audience profile. So manage your current social media profile. Do an audit of it first before you do any social posting about the jobs that you're looking to hire. Look at your company page. Is it a page that you would share? Is it a page that is going to engage you? Is it a page that's going to attract people into your organization and say that you're really on top of this side of your recruitment area? Are you willing to spend some money on sponsored adverts, boosted posts to increase your following? And this is where you maybe want to have a meeting with your marketing manager to drive that presence on your company page. Because results don't happen overnight, and they happen over time. And it really is driven by getting a larger following over and over. And it's like a snowball effect, pushing it down the mountain. It's hard to push it up, but once you get it right and you push it over, then it should gather some rapid speed and get you some good results. The other area to avoid whenever doing any recruiting through social media, and this is a personal bugbear of mine, is that I see all too often companies doing this great, we're hiring, yay, pouring it out there to the friends and family, and then email your CV to, and then it's info at an email address. It's great, yes, you're putting out information on social media, but there's a few things wrong with this advert. One, it's basically a picture of something that's possibly in the door, so it's not really going to get anybody's creativity going, and they're not going to be clickable on it. There's no images of the people. It really isn't. I mean, they're saying, are you creative, etc., etc., but there's no creativeness in the advert at all. And then secondly, it's this email CV to. People are probably going to see this on their mobile phone. And when they see it on their mobile phone, they're going to want to have a click where they can upload and attach a CV or complete an application form or complete a beginning registration. If not, then they're going to turn it off, and you're having to basically rely on them to remember it when they get home, and they can go online and send you an email. So always, if you can, avoid having it as a CCV. Try and get a place where you can actually upload and get an instant application from them. The one thing to also remember is that if you are using emails such as info at, who has access to that information? Are they all involved in the hiring process? If not, you need to start thinking come May of this year about GDPR, because information that's shared via that email address, if it's all put in there, whoever has access to it has access then to CVs and personal candidate information, and you need to make sure that they're not sharing that information or printing it out in a way that would leave people's personal details open to exposure. Another social recruiting no is whatever you do, don't ask them to download an application form and post it to you. They're on social media because they like quick and easy access, and they don't necessarily want to have to start doing things the way we did 20 years ago. Another no is don't spam. Whatever you do, don't start filling your timeline with the job adverts. Now, obviously, Facebook are going to be putting an end to this because of their new regulations on Facebook timelines, but it's the same even with Twitter and with LinkedIn. Don't just put whatever your posts are. Make sure that it's a good mixture of social posts about jobs, but also posts about your organization as well, any celebrations that you have, people within your organization, fun days, great fun facts about your company. It's not just about the jobs that you're advertising, it's about getting people to engage in your organization as a whole, as an overall strategy. If you want to, what you can do on Facebook is you can create a careers tab, which is in a section, so that you're not flooding your timeline, but in your timeline you'll have posts that are going to direct people to your careers tab section. And you can either talk to me offline or send me an email, and I can tell you how you would go about creating that careers tab within your Facebook profile. One of the main things with regards to anywhere on social media, some social medias, you have candidates, so you saw the adverts before where it's info at, but some will say here's a link and click to it. Now, if your link is to an ATS, make sure that your ATS provider has a mobile optimized page, so that when the people click through on their mobile from your Facebook advert, that they can actually read and see what the details are. This is an image taken from a live client advert, or not a client, a live advert that I saw on Facebook, and I clicked through expecting to go through to an ATS that would obviously be mobile optimized, and I could see the details, and unfortunately I wasn't able to. So this is a live view. You can see, unless you've got supervision, you can't really see what the details of that job actually are. And then when you view the jobs, you have to do the whole scanning and increasing sort of the view on your mobile phone to click to view, and then you get to the next page, which is where you start to upload your data. And again, it's just not mobile optimized, it's not user friendly, and you'll find that this is where you'll get candidates dropping out of the process. So try to make sure that it is a mobile optimized solution. With other areas within social do's, social recruiting do's, is using contents and visuals, going mobile, which I'll touch on again, personas and your social demographics, getting them right, applicant capture and tracking, and engaging your marketing team. So I'm going to quickly go over these social do's, because this really should, if you get these right, your social recruiting responses should increase. One of the main things in posting social media is vital that you use good content and clear images that grab somebody's attention. Images that support your employer brand and your corporate brand, and where possible, if you can, try to use video every now and again as well. People like video on social media. They'll click on it and they'll see it and it'll get them intrigued. And sell the idea of working for your company and the benefits, those good news stories that I talked about, promotions, team events. All of this can be done to recruit an idea of coming to work in your company, and it doesn't have to be just the job advert. So try and use images that engage people rather than just "we're hiring" as the main sort of stock image that a lot of people take off anything on the internet. As well as that, once you've got people's attention, make sure that the portal that they go through has strong graphics in place, and that again it resells your image. One that's mobile optimized and easy to open. So this image here is for a catering organization, food services, and it's clear to see that from their image. Other organizations, the next one again on the food side is for a restaurant, and it's just giving a detail of who their brand is and who their image. And they both vary. If I go backwards, one is a large organization employing over 3,000 people. The other one is a small restaurant with only 30 employees, but they both look as professional as each other. Make sure any recruitment that you do and any channels that you're using and any click-throughs that you have is 100% mobile. At the minute, 74% of job seekers will try to use a mobile when they apply for a job online, yet only 21% of companies have mobile responsive applications. And given the number of adults who have smartphones and the fact that I mean, I actually think 74 is quite low, but that number is going to rise. That stat was taken from 2016, and I'm sure it's risen since then. When you consider 95% of people use a mobile phone to view social media, and 95% of mobile phone owners have a smartphone, so they're going to do it more and more often, and it's just become the norm. Anything you post to social media needs to be able to be viewed, but it's important that that application process is mobile optimized more than anything else, because if you get the candidate's attention, if you've got them to the point where they want to click and apply, if it becomes cumbersome, then they will drop out and you'll lose potentially good applicants. It's very easy to check that your solutions are mobile optimized today. All you need to do is quickly take out your own smartphone if you have it there to hand, go onto your careers website and look to see, is your current company career site mobile optimized? If it's not, then you talk to your marketing department and say, why is our current website not mobile optimized? And more importantly, why is our company careers page not mobile optimized? And those are the first changes that you would need to go and make. There is little point in spending money and time on a social recruiting strategy if your process isn't going to be mobile supported. As I showed you before, the difference being between an application process that's mobile optimized and one that's not. So on the left side of your screen, you see one that's not mobile optimized, and on the right, you see one that is, where you can search and screen for available vacancies, and it's a scroll up and scroll down. And this makes it easy for candidates to view your vacancies, to search for your vacancies, and to apply for the roles there and then. Once they apply, it needs to be easy for them to fill in their personal information. So it needs to be clear, big and bright, rather than something that you have to try and use a magnifying glass to actually read. So if you compare the two slides, which one would you prefer to fill in? One is fairly easy and straightforward, and it's just scrollable, and then you access any other information that you need. So turning your application process is not as big a deal as it used to be. Most ATS software solutions, including Landit of course, will offer a mobile optimized solution as standard. And if they don't, then you need to ask your ATS provider if it's something that they're going to and planning on doing. Also, you want to make sure that everything in the application process is mobile optimized from that very start, click application, to where they can go back in and apply for a job that they've, or finish an application that they've already started. So make sure that, again, it fits in with their brand, and that instills, by having it fully branded as well and being able to click in and out, it kind of instills a level of excitement with the applicant. They know what job they're applying for, and they'll be impressed by your professional process and your branding. When social recruiting, know your target audience, know who your personas are, and know your demographics. This is particularly key if you are going to start sponsoring social adverts and spending money on the social media channels. With money spent on them, you want to ensure that you're getting the best return. And there are fantastic tools available within all of the different social platforms that let you pick out your specific geographic region, specific personas, job sectors, hobbies, and interests. And this can help you make your target audience as specific and bespoke as you need it to be. But bearing in mind, the more you narrow it down, then the less people you're going to be reaching. So have a play around, and again, work with the various different job boards to get as much information from them. You're going to be spending money with them. They have experts at their end that can help and guide you to get the most from your advert. This only means when you sponsor a job advert and you pay for it online and boost a post, you can target those specific people, and they see their advert not only in their timeline, even if they're not following your page. So it's a way, if you post to your timeline and don't post it, you're only going to reach people who either see your page or friends of friends who see your page and they've actually shared it. If you put a sponsored advert out there and you select a demographic, you're going to target more people who don't follow your page currently. They may be inclined to follow your page for later vacancies, or they may just make the click through and apply for the role. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn are undoubtedly the three most obvious social recruitment channels we think of when we talk about social recruitment advertising. And whilst these are undoubtedly great channels, there are others that you can use to reach talent. For example, if you're seeking fresh graduates, they're more likely to be on Snapchat than on Facebook. Facebook apparently is for old people. Anybody classed over 30 is old according to the graduates. So that's probably most of us are on this phone call. Graphic designers are more likely to be on Pinterest rather than LinkedIn. So have a think about the job that you're advertising before you post it. If you're posting a job to an audience that's not going to be interested, then you're not going to get the results. So think about your audience. Where do they hang out, and target your social adverts accordingly. Whenever you do put an advert out onto social media, try and use great images that will either have a bit of humour in them or gather people's attention. And always try and make sure that there's a capture and trackable link within your adverts that either goes back now to an application process, as I said, or it goes back to your ATS and allows applicants to download forms. But make sure it's something that they can click through to and that it is mobile optimized. Make it easy to apply. The one thing candidates like on social media is that it must be easy. If it's going to take any more time consuming, then they're likely to disengage. And make it trackable so that you can evaluate your own advertising strategy and your income that you're spending. Once you're advertising on social media, as with any advertising, collecting applicants' data on a centralized application tracking database will help you connect directly to your social media, and it will help you gather data that will allow you to track what channels are working best for you. So have an ATS at the background, one where it's going to help you gather your stats and keep control of your budget, but also one that will help you decide where you're going to start advertising in 6 months' time. So like any form of advertising, you're never going to get full results quickly or full sort of research built up quickly, but if over 6 months you've been advertising in social media, you should have enough information about where you're getting your views, when you're getting your views, and more importantly, who you're getting the click-throughs and the applications from. By centralising your recruitment marketing, don't forget about traditional recruitment advertising channels. All too often, I've heard clients who think that, yes, we're going to use social media, and they talk about discounting all the traditional advertising channels. The main things you need to have is that it works in conjunction. It's not a replace, repeat and replace, dare I say it. It's about supporting the current channels that you have. So don't forget about your careers page. Don't forget about the job boards. And don't forget about recruitment agencies that you've got good loyal relationships with, but ensure that all applicants are going through the same process. So use a fully integrated ATS such as Landed, will enable you to post to all of your channels, to your Facebook, to Twitter, to LinkedIn, across through emails, on your blog, on your careers website, to the job boards and to recruitment agencies, and even let you create QR codes so you can advertise via post. So social recruiting should be seen as one element of your recruitment strategy, not a be-all and fix-all for every problem that you currently have. At Landed, we try to make social hiring as easy as possible, along with quite a few other things. Social recruiting, as it has been coined, it can be a minefield. Where do you start and how do you manage the process? And this is one of the problems we attempt to solve with our solution. Landed is not just another ATS. We combine recruitment marketing, applicant screening and filtering, and applicant tracking. So really, if you think of Landed, it's a bit like the HubSpot for recruiting. What HubSpot does for marketing, we plan to do for recruitment marketing. On Landed, it's easy to use. It's a simple platform built for recruiters by recruiters, and it's a point-and-click selection where you create your new vacancy. You select all of your screening flow, whether you're thinking about killer questions for do you have certain criteria to eliminate candidates automatically, and whether you want to do more detailed score-based questions, text questions, or if you want to assess a candidate's communication skills, you can invite them to do a video interview. You select the process for each job, and not all jobs require the same depth of screening. Each job has its own dashboard and then its own recruitment funnel. And once a job has been created, you can track applicants through the end to end of the funnel, and you can track exactly which channel they're coming from. So you can really monitor your social channels to see, are they working and are they delivering the right talent for you. You can make collaborative decisions and share details with colleagues so that you can decide yes or no together as to whether you're going to invite candidates through to the next stage or reject them. It really is a funnel and a channel or a dashboard for people to make collaborative decisions and get involved in the whole process. It's also a channel that allows you to track your data. As I said, data is key whenever you're starting to do recruitment advertising and you're starting to pay for it. You want to see what your return on investment is, and you'll be able to see at a quick glance which channels are working for you. Is it your website, which clearly in this example it is, but also the fact that Twitter posts and other posts are getting more views. And you can see here why I was saying earlier that Twitter is proving to be a great social media follower for some. On this case, for this client, Twitter's delivered over 30,000 views, but only 3 on their Facebook posts. So they use Twitter pretty much as a careers page, an additional careers page, and then they co-produce between their Twitter careers page and their main Twitter page, which they then post links to say, go and follow us on Twitter. It's also important that we believe that the applicants have a good journey. So we wanted to build a platform that in-house recruiters find easy to use, but the applicants find easy to use as well. And we find applicants in general, our current rate is 94.8% of applicants who complete their process through Landed rate us at 5 stars for some ease of use and for simplicity's sake. And in terms of that, we really do focus on the applicant journey, and we want a solution that they will enjoy and that they then recognise with that organisation as being a good move. Importantly as well, our solution ensures that our clients obtain permission for applicants to use and store their data, something that's going to become even more relevant this year with the implementation of GDPR. But that's a webinar that we cover off once every 3 weeks. So if you're interested in that, you can join our next GDPR webinar at the end of this month. At Landed, we are about transforming recruitment processes, and we have a great client endorsement from Henderson's, who've got over 3,000 employees here in Northern Ireland, and they say that their entire process has been transformed, with agency spend down by 40% and time to hire down from 6 to 4 weeks. So they've gone from being largely paper-based application forms to 100% online. Every application comes through the Landed profile, the platform, and everybody is processed and completed within 6 weeks at the maximum is their turnaround for making job offers to applicants. So increasingly, they've seen a large increase in applicants on mobile devices, and they've also seen a large increase on Twitter. So social recruiting will continue to evolve, and it's by no means a simple concept to master. Hopefully, I've answered a few sort of pointers that will keep you in the right direction and to help you maintain a fresh and authentic, accessible employer brand and message, and connect your channels and engage with talent, and make sure that you're hanging out in the places where the applicants are hanging out. And whether you like it or not, the society that we live in today is just going to get more and more digital, more social, and more on demand. People are going to really start expecting instant results. And so to ignore social recruiting is to ignore a large portion of the candidate marketplace, and one that we would say certainly shouldn't be done. And it's one to be embraced rather than fought against. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any of those now. If you want to enable your mic, you can do. Okay, if there's no questions, then if you want to take this offline, my contact details are on screen. If you're interested in seeing a full demo of the Landa platform, how we can help your company create and manage strong online social recruiting strategy, I'd be more than happy to arrange this for you. Once again, thank you for your time today and have a good afternoon.